Hello, hi. My name is Angel. I am a master acrylics painter, so it says Grumbacher. I'm also an improv comic, funnier than I look. I'm here to teach you how to paint a Starry Night version of the West Seattle Junction. Super excited to do this with you. You have your great paint kits. I'm going to introduce the tools to you. We have 5 brushes, 3 flat-headed brushes, 2 round ones. What I mean by flat-headed is the metal part of the brush is pushed flat, and on the round brushes, they're round however you twist them. The flat brushes I will be referring to as the Kardashians. The big one is Kim, the middle one is Chloe, and the leftover is Courtney. My round brushes are Sunny and Cher. The tall, no, the one with the Bob Mackie headdress, that's Cher, and the little guy is Sunny. Youngsters just know he was a thing. This is who I mean now. I will tell you, I have a dysfunctional relationship with Khloe Kardashian. I am not proud of it. It's just a thing, meaning I'm going to use her 90% of the time. If at any time you are thinking to yourself, too much brush or not enough brush for what we are trying to do, pick up another brush. There is not a wrong brush. You can paint the whole thing with Sunny if you want. You will be here a while, but this is a video. Pause it and as you go along. It'd be just fine. Okay, so before we get going, just to let you know, you're going to need a container of water to clean your brushes as we go along. And also some paper towel or a rag that you don't mind getting dirty. That's pretty much it as far as that goes. You have a plethora of gorgeous colors. Anything that I say color-wise, also a suggestion. Feel free to do you. If you want a whole blue and white painting, do it. Nobody's going to judge you on that. I'm gonna work with a bunch of colors. I love color, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start with this blue. This is a phthalocyanine, spelled P-H-T-H. So many vowels. Phthalocyanine. Looks like something you pick up at the drugstore for a rash, but it's a color. So I'm gonna get out a little bit of this. By the way, to open it, you're just going to, there's foil on the inside of your thing. You're going to turn your cap around, which is pointy in there, and puncture the foil with the outside of your cap to get in there. I'm going to put out, I don't know, half a pinky's worth, 2 knuckles, 2 pinky knuckles of the phthalo blue, maybe the same amount of white. And I'm just going to take my brush. I'm going to first give her a bath. If her hair is a little bit stiff, there's a little bit of glue in there just to keep them from getting wrecked during shipping. So just go ahead and give her hair a little bit of a bath. Towel that off so it's not too drippy. So I've got my blue and my white out here. I'm just going to take maybe 2 parts white. That's 2 pencil erasers. It's a technical art term. And 1 pencil eraser, blue, to make a color I like to call light blue. And the first thing we're going to do is draw. Yay! So I'm going to take my light blue, such a gorgeous color, and just south of the halfway mark, about there. I'm not going to measure. I'm just south of the halfway mark. For the canvases that you have, they're 8x10s. So let's say just below 5.0 inches from top and or bottom. I'm just going to put a little line across there so I know when to stop painting. And that's it. We're done drawing. We are nailing this so far. So good. Okay, so everything above this line is going to be the sky. And I'm just going to make little indicators where the moon and the stars are going to go just by maybe making a big circle up here in a light blue. And then I'm just going to put little placeholders in for the stars. So maybe there's one here. Maybe there's one here. Maybe there's a little constellation. You can see it's a real constellation because the only constellations I remember are the Dippers and Orion. Other than that, I have no idea. So there, I've got my little light blue little spots. And now what I'm going to do is draw the wind. This was something that fascinated Van Gogh endlessly. what the wind would look like as we draw it, right? So I'm just going to make little swirlies, not too different than the spot that I made for the moon. Just going to maybe make a nice little swirly here, and then I'm going to whoosh it off to the side. And I'm going to make that just a little bit thicker. As you can see, I am not being too careful. I'm not worrying too much what the edges of the shapes that I'm making look like. Everything we're putting here, we're going to pretty much cover up. Spoiler alert. So I'm not worrying too much about it. I'm just kind of filling the sky a little bit, right? So I've got them pretty empty right here. So I'm just going to, I don't know, maybe I'll put another little swoosh here that whooshes up in the sky there. Maybe I will just make my little horizon line a little bit thicker. There we go. Oh, this looks so nice. I'm really giving myself a lot of positive reinforcement as I go. We are not kind to ourselves, artistically speaking. Let's try to change that culture, shall we? All right, I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to take a little bit more. So now I've got these nice light spots. Maybe I'll make them a little bit bigger. Maybe I won't. Like I said, not going to see too much of these. I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to tap into that blue and fill in the rest of the sky. So I'm just doing this to cover up the rest of the canvas. There we go. That's happening. And you know what? I am going to just tap my brush in a little bit of water. The paint feels a little bit dry to me. So I'm just going to tap a little bit of water in my brush just to help it flow a little bit more. You don't want too much water on your brush because acrylic paint is plastic based, and plastic has a very short space of flexibility, as you can imagine. It goes very quickly from thinned out paint to stained water, and that is not a good situation. Once it's stained water and you're painting with it, it will go on very transparently, and it's really hard to paint opaquely over that spot again. So I'm just filling this in. I have all the bravery of somebody who has done this painting 20 times before. Don't feel you have to paint as quick as me. You can pause this video as we go along to take your time, but let me also gently caution against being too perfect with it. It's just not necessary. Like I said, everything we're doing here, we're basically just shortcutting the Van Gogh process. He would not have painted in the background like we are right now. He would have just with little paint strokes all along would have filled the whole thing in. Water. So there we go. Getting it all in there. There we go. A little bit more. And nailed it. We're doing so well. And isn't this fun? Are you enjoying this? Painting can be a good mix of meditative yet anxiety-ridden activity. I know. We're trying to lean toward the meditative. Okay, so now what I'm going to do in my gorgeous sky to take it a little bit closer to Van Gogh-esque world, I'm going to put just a little bit more white out here because I've used a good amount of what I've already had. I'm going to throw a little yellow out here as well. Yellow, lemon yellow, delicious. And maybe also a little bit of crimson. What? I know. I love color. We've talked about this. So I might use it, I might not, but let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to use this brush, dysfunctional relationship. We talked about it. Feel free to go down one to Courtney if you want to. She's the one that's a little bit smaller. She's got the very fashionable angled haircut, longer on one side than the other. Would work just as well if you want smaller brush strokes than what I am going to do with this lady here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, with little swishes and painting with the skinny edge of the brush, meaning as if I'm painting something curvy, I'm going to do this whoosh so that my line is always skinny. Ooh, pretty, right? So I'm going to curve her as I go, as I'm making my swirlies. I don't think it's a deal breaker though if you don't want to do it. And what I'm going to do, I'm taking my brush back to light blue again just by adding white to the blue that was already on my brush. And, excuse me, I'm going to bring some blue swooshes outside of the shapes I put on there initially. See that? How I'm bringing the blue outside, and I can also, if I'm feeling a little type A, and man, I love those days. I don't actually have a left lobe. My mom says I qualify for handicap parking. I'm looking into it. So there, I'm bringing the light blue out side of the initial shapes that I had. And see how we're getting close to Van Gogh world already? It didn't even take much, did it? And I'm just going to clean up these edges and just follow the swirl. I don't have to keep the initial shapes that I had. I'm really looking for the movement more than the actual line or shape. Movement. So good. Feel free to listen to some music as you're doing this. My go-to painting music is anything Rat Packy. Oh my gosh, I love me some Dean Martin so much. But I'm going to spare you my singing, which would happen if he was playing right now. So I'm not going to do that to you. Try to keep up my professional appearance. There we go. So I have really filled up with the light blue. And now, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a little bit more blue to my brush to make it a little bit darker again. I'm not going to wash my brush, although if it's feeling gunky, acrylic paint dries really fast. It dries in 10 minutes on your canvas. It also dries in 10 minutes on your brush. Feel free, if it's starting to feel like it's not moving so well for you, just wash the brush and then keep going again. But I'm just going to add some more blue to my brush to get it back to a darker blue again. How dark, you're wondering? If you like the color that's on your brush, it is the right color. Go with that. So, I've already kind of lost that swirl here, but I've got this big old stripe here that's really standing out as solid to me. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the dark blue and add it in there. There we go. That's looking pretty Van Gogh-y. Is that a word, Van Gogh-y? It is now. And maybe I'm just going to tap my brush in to see I've got some pure white on there. I just dunked right into the pure white. And maybe just some little flicks of that around places. Look at all that movement. You'd be so proud of us right now. Van Gogh, there we go. Lots of brightness, gorgeous. And then you know what I'm going to do? I am going to add a little bit of, look at that. Man, we're almost like there. Who'd have thought painting would be so easy and so enjoyable? Really, though, if you've got the skill to write your name, you've got the skills you need to paint. It's a matter of a comfort level with the brush, with the tool, learning what it can do and not feeling intimidated by it, and let yourself discover where it's going to go. Your painting is not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like anybody else's because you can't not paint like yourself. It's true. So now I'm going to do something crazy and tap a little bit of red, just a tiny little amount. I'm not going to need a lot. That's going to get me to this cool purple color. Wow. So the phthalo and the crimson red, not the scarlet red. Let's talk about that for a second. The difference. You're going to get a whole different purple if you use this one than if you use this one. When they're next to each other, you can see this one's darker. It actually has a little bit of blue in it. This red has a little bit of yellow in it. You can kind of see that when you look at them next to each other. This leans more red violet-y, purple-y. This one leans more orangey. So that little trace amount of yellow in this red is going to make your purple duller, more of a muddy purple. I'm not saying no to that either. That's a preference. That's a choice, and that can be awesome and gorgeous. I'm going for whatever purple does. You know what? I'm gonna throw more red in there. You know why? Because I love red violet. So I'm just diving in. I'm diving into red violet. It's pretty red violety. I'm gonna add some of that in the sky. Why? Because oh my gosh, look at that gorgeous color. So I'm just gonna make it some beautiful. Oh my gosh, I promised you I wasn't gonna sing. Sorry. I can't help myself when I paint. Singing happens. You know, you start with the one creative juice, and all of a sudden, if I start tap dancing, though, say something. That's going over the line. All right, we're gonna call that. I think that's so gorgeous, beautiful. Now your light blue spots that you put in here are probably pretty dry. I'm gonna wash my brush. You'll notice that stirring in the water does not really take the paint off the brush. What you're gonna want to do, mush your head right on the bottom of the container. Right? It's effective. It feels good, and that'll get the paint right out of there for you. All right. I'm going into my yellow. I need a little bit more white for this. Yep. A little bit, here's what I did. Look at this little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. I'm going to mix in between these two colors to make a color I like to call light yellow. That little bit of white in there, the reason I mixed that in there, I don't really need a light yellow. Whoa, so much light on here. But the yellow is transparent, so when I paint it on the blue, it's going to look green. But by adding a little bit of white in here, it doesn't really change the color. It still looks pretty close to my original yellow, but now it's going to be more opaque. It's going to stand up to the blue that's underneath it. I'm just going to make some little spots inside my moon area here. Oh, it still is a little bit green. You know what? That's okay. That is okay. If you look on the actual Starry Night, it's a little bit green there too. And maybe a little spot there. Oh, look how that just brightens up. I just put it in my wind gust. That would have been fine. Look at our little spots. So cute. Cute. They can be as big or small. They do not have to match mine. They don't have to match Vincent's either. You would be totally fine with whatever you come up with. If you're feeling fancy, you can keep going with those little lines just like you did in the rest of the sky. Look at that. I'm making the sky glow now. Yes. More white in there. Woo, pretty. Now that moon is going to glow, right? A little bit outside of this guy. Those spots got so small when we added the blue around it, but we just opened it right back up again. Thank you, says the starry sky. Gorgeous. A little bit more over here. A little bit more over here. One more. Beautiful. Keep going with colors. If you're feeling it, add more. If you put a color in the sky and you're like, that was possibly a mistake, I'm not sure I like what I just did, let it dry 10 minutes, then go back to your blues, your light blue, your pure blue. Paint right over it. You can cover it right back up. So be brave, my grasshoppers. Okay, I'm going to clean the yellow off my brush. Now, we are going to the black, and everything that's not painted yet is going to be black. So you're going to need maybe half of your tube. Start with a third of your tube, maybe. I just hate for you to put it all out there in case you're not going to use it all, because it's really hard to put it back in the tube. You know what they say about toothpaste? Same goes for paint, it turns out. Now, you know what? Just to give you brush variety, I'm going with Kim, because this is a big area that I'm going to cover in 3 strokes with this brush. I'm just going to do that. So again, her first time out, so I'm just going to tap her hair in the water just a little bit, and then I got, that's maybe a whole pinky's worth of black there. I'm going to tap so that half of her hair is full of paint. Why do I do that? Half of her hair. for 3 reasons. If paint gets in the metal part of the brush, this is called the ferrule. Paint gets in here, my skinny little brush does this. And then the paint wants to stay on the brush, and it makes a big mush mark on my canvas instead of a nice controlled line. And also, it's really hard to clean paint out of the metal part of the brush. So for all of those reasons, I do my best to keep the paint in the hair area. And now everything that's not painted yet, I'm just going to make black. I painted with a wonderful artist the other day who is not fond of black. So she made her own gorgeous black by mixing, I think it was brown and blue. It was lovely. You can just, this could be purple down here if you would rather. Look how fast that happened. Oh my goodness. And I think I'm going to need to put some more out too. If you find this is happening, see there are little areas, where pinpricky areas where the paint's not filling in all the way. That doesn't bother you, ignore me for the next minute. If it does bother you, I want you to pretend your brush is a hula dancer on a dashboard, right? Feet stay still and the hips wiggle, like that. Yeah. I'm going to put her feet on the dashboard, wiggle her hips. Those spots all fill in, and then I'll just sweep across to blend it in with the rest. That's it. I'll use the skinny edge of my brush to paint a nice line up here if I want one. There we go. That didn't take long, did it? I'm going to need a little bit more black here. A little bit more. Filling it all in. There we go. Gorgeous. Very satisfying, actually, to paint a whole big area with one color. Super satisfying. It just feels good. It's painting is super meditative, right? It's like meditating, only you don't have to beat yourself up for not emptying your brain out, which is how I meditate. So painting is good for that. So I want these all to look like different stores and different buildings. So I'm just going to add different heights. There's a little bit of a taller store right there. Maybe there's another even taller store right there. Maybe I'm going to go up even a little bit more here. There we go. Look at that. West Seattle is in the house. All right. I'm going to wash my brush. Again, our head right down in the bottom of the container. Get all of that paint out of there. Alrighty. That's all I can do with Kim. So, back to Chloe. I'm going to add the beginnings of the tree, and what we're doing is we're going to mimic the cypress. No, how about the cypress trees that Van Gogh had in his lovely Starry Night? About a third of the way from the left, I'm going to just make a skinny, kind of a Christmas tree shape, but given a little bit of a wiggle as I go down. Maybe starting way up here. See my little wiggle there? And a little wiggle coming down on this side. Fill it in. Yep, it's just a kind of a Christmas tree shape, a very tall, skinny triangle. And as Bob Ross says, everybody needs a friend, even our happy little tree. So we're going to make a little smaller one here. When I'm painting these guys, I like to think about those wiggly inflatable guys that are outside of automobile sales places. So I think of this as one happy little dancing arm. This is this other happy little dancing arm. Just a little bit of a wiggle there. That's good for that. The other thing I'm going to add before I'm done. So we're going to put the Cupcake Royale over here. All I'm going to do is make a big circle about the size of a coaster right up here. That is going to be that really, really cool logo. And I'm just going to make a placeholder for it now. And it's just kind of a big coaster sized circle. Don't worry if it's not perfect. We're not really going to see much of this when we're done anyway. This is a placeholder. And it's kind of hanging on to the bottom of my building, as you can see. It's as big as a coaster ish. So this is what we have so far. Okay, now we're going to let all of that rest a little bit while we clean our brush again. If your water is getting to the point where you can't see your brush when it's in the water, it's time to swap out your water. Once this gets really concentrated with paint, the water does not do a great job taking the paint off of your brush. Feel free to go swap those out. Oh, I happen to have one right here. Thank you. So I'm good to go. Feel free to pause me. I'll pause me for you. And we're back. Okay. I am now going to, again, you can use another brush. You know what? I'm going to keep swapping up brushes. I normally paint the whole thing with this brush, and that affects my Yelp rating. It doesn't really. In my head, it does. I'm going to now use little Courtney to, we're going to put some little stars in our little areas here. So I'm going to take little Courtney. It's her first time out. I'm going to just give her a little drinky poo. And then I am going to make orange. You know what? I got some yellow. I am going to go to that orangey red that we talked about. Oh, scarlet. There's a little bit of yellow in there. I could have made orange with this red. It's not using a lot of red. So even though this one has a little bit of blue in it, it would have made a dull orange. Still perfectly fine. But I want a bright orange maybe. So I'm going to put just a little bit of this scarlet right next to my yellow. Hardly any. Like enough that would maybe cover half of your pinky nail. Like, let me show you what a small amount. Tiny, tiny amount. Not even going to need a third of that. When you're mixing acrylic colors, you're going to need way less of the darker color than of the lighter color. You would think that mixing yellow and red 50-50 would make orange. Oh no, that would make more red. You are going to want to take a good chunk of yellow first. What is this? Whatever amount that's a very used pencil eraser. I probably don't even need that one. So I got this little bit of yellow. So you know how much red I'm going to need for that? That's probably too much. Tiny amount. It's really going to take it to orange quickly. That's a thing. If you've made it and you're like, oh man, she was right, that went too dark too quickly. Here's a shortcut to getting to the right color. If you keep adding yellow to this, trying to get to the right color, you will have a big pile of a color that you don't need. All I'm going to do is mush the excess paint off of my brush. Now I've just got this on my brush. If I now rub my brush here and add yellow to that spot, yellow to this, what I just wiped off my brush, that is going to get you to your lighter color way quicker than adding a bunch of yellow to the color that's too dark. All right, so now I've got my nice light orange color, and I'm just going to put a little spot inside all of my dots here to be the stars. A little star there, a star here, and I'm just kind of pushing down with the edge of her hair that's a little bit longer. A little bit here, here, here. And I think I'm going to put a crescent moon inside here. I'm feeling it. So all I'm going to do is just make a circle like from 12 o'clock all the way down to 4 o'clock. And then just put a parentheses in the middle. So 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock and then a parentheses in the middle. That's it. Nailed it. Now if you're feeling fancy, now that you've got this little bit of orange, if you want to, add some of that outside. Look at that in the sky. Gorgeous. So good. Even more color out here. I never say no to color, and I'm not saying it's right. I can't help myself, much like the singing. I am sad to report. Alrighty, there we go. Mm-mm-mm. Love. Okay, putting Courtney away, giving her a bath. I don't leave brushes sitting in water. I will tell you why. I clean them and then I let them lay flat because if they're sitting in water, we'll demonstrate with Chloe because she's larger. If you leave them sitting in water, they're in the cup like this, and you are training the hair to be curved like this, and they will stay like that. So you don't want to let her sit in water for that reason. The other reason is letting it sit in water can loosen up the glue that is holding the a ferrule onto the handle. So two reasons not to do that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is fill in that cypress tree. So we're going to need some greens and maybe I'm going to put a little more yellow out as well. We've got two greens, yellow. We crossed that bridge before, so that yellow. And also we've got a sap green and a viridian green. Gorgeous, both gorgeous. You can tell when they're next to each other. This one has a little more yellow in it. This one has a little more blue in it. And it's also a little bit more, I don't know, fluorescent-y. Is that a word? I don't know. I like them both, so I'm going to use them both. If you just want to go with one, if you feel like that's just too much craziness, lady, I only have emotional space for one green in my life. Totally fine and awesome. Today is the last time you will be looking at my painting when regarding yours, so don't worry too much about it. All right, I'm going to start. They both look actually pretty dark on my palette. So I've got the yellow. This is the sap. This is the viridian. I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow and add a little bit of sap to it. Maybe it's 50-50 to make a color I like to call light green. Is this an old joke now? I'll stop. All right, I'm covering, so half of her hair is covered in paint, front and the back. And I am going to make little parentheses. It's my favorite shape, guys, all the way down my tree. So it's starting up here in little parentheses, one direction, the other direction. They're just little parentheses, right? And I am going to continue down the trajectory of this angle-ish, unless I feel it's getting too thick, and then I'll stop. But it's also leaning a little bit. I better fix that. It's fine. Here's the good news. If you really overpaint in one direction, this is on black. You can just paint like that little guy over there. I can just paint him black again if I really want to. There we go. Little parentheses all the way down. Just giving a little curvy flick like this as I go to make these little marks. Can totally do that with Chloe as well. Because we're painting with the edge of it, the size brush that you're using really doesn't matter. So if I don't clean my brush and maybe I just tap into this gorgeous viridian now, beautiful. Also will work just to tap your brush into your blue. So I've done that. And now I'm going to just add this color in. Ooh, look how gorgeous that looks. Just stop it already. I'm going to pretty much cover up a lot of that black with my beautiful colors here. So good. Done it. Nice. So there are trees on the streets there in West Seattle. They are not cypress trees, but we can dream. One can dream. And one also wants one's painting to look like a Van Gogh. So we did the cypress. Okay, so good. I think I'm just gonna call myself done with the green right now. I'm gonna put out some more white again. We are going to do another placeholder for the cupcake sign. White. A little bit more of this out. Maybe another. Put it over here. Another pencil eraser's worth. I don't need a ton. right now. You guys have gorgeous wooden palettes, by the way. I've got a specimen tray because it's super, super easy to clean. You will be able to, when you're done painting, just rinse off your thing if you want. But you know what real artists do? They just let stuff dry and they just pour paint right back on top of the the paint they've already used that is all dried up. Awesome. All right. I'm going to tap her hair full of the white, front and the back. And I'm just going to make a circle outside, on the outside of my coaster. And maybe I'll make the brushstrokes look like all those parentheses we've been using everywhere else so that it matches. Like that. A little bit of thickness to it. It's all good. And now, I'm not going to clean my brush because I'm going to put out a little of the yellow ochre. What is ochre, you're wondering? Dijon mustard color. Ochre. It's spelled ochre. No, ochre. So I am going to put out, I don't know, it's 2 or 3 pencil erasers worth of that ochre. I am going to block out the buildings now. So, and I'm just going to add the white to this brownish color. Although the brown color is cool too, though, just to lighten it just a little bit. I don't know if it's necessary. Just the brown color looks like kind of cream colored bricks. That's what I'm aiming for. That's why I'm just putting a little bit of white in my ochre to make a color I like to call light ochre. I can't stop myself. Okay, so there it is, just a white and ochre. And I am just going to, with the Van Gogh-y kind of swooshes, you can we already know where a building is going to end right there because we have a little line there, right? So maybe I'm just going to put a little bit of brown there and come down this way as well. And I've got another building that starts there. So if I just do a whole stripe across like that, then I'm just going to build windows by, again, I'm trying to use just my little swooshes like Van Gogh would do. There, look, I've got 3 windows. One's got a situation. That's okay. Got a situation there. And if I want my next building to be a different color, maybe I'll throw a little bit of yellow in there. Maybe a little bit of white and yellow just to change the color of it. That did not change it very much. How about I stick a little bit of red in it then? Tiny amount. You don't need to put a lot in there. There we go. Now my building is a different color. Now you can really tell where one building begins and another one ends. Residential area on the top, and I'm going to let the bottom maybe like that. So I've got, these are my store windows, right? Now I'm going to add a bunch of yellow to that color. And over here, I've got another one. More yellow. Down. Tiny windows. I'm an architect now. Like that. And for this one, I'm going to throw a little blue in the whole mix. And all I'm doing is, this is where I started my light ochre. I threw yellow in there, then I threw red in there. And now I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of this blue that I have left over here. Throw that in there as well. I keep changing the color a little bit. Just keep changing the color. Just adding just a tiny little bit of another color. You've got those great browns too. You can totally make a brown building. Let's do that actually. Whoa, that was slippery. Okay. I'm going to just take a little bit of brown. Why not? We've got it. Throw it there. Not going to clean my brush. Because why? There, now we've got a nice dark brown color. That'd be cool in a building. And this building, maybe we'll make it a little bit darker. There we go. Side, oh, maybe too dark. Nah, that's good. There we go. That looks good. It looks so good. Sweet. Okay. Now we are going to take we're gonna work a little bit more on our cupcake sign. Okay. I'm gonna clean the building color off of my brush. You can do the same thing on your buildings that we did up here. I added extra colors in there. You can totally do that on your buildings if you want to. Feel free to pause me again and do that. Maybe I'll just take a little bit of yellow and white again and throw a little bit of yellow in here. That looks cool. Color is your friend. If you've gone in here and you're like, you know what, this is not, I finally figured out what I want to do with buildings, but now I'm 3 buildings in. This is black. Paint it all black again. And then go in and do it again and again. You can do that. All right. Now I'm finally going to let go of that. I'm going back to my black. And I'm just going to open up. I'm going to paint over some of the white circle that we did here to make room for the words Cupcake Royale. Just a little bit of black. And it's going to be south of center and then angled, right? So here's center, south of center, angled like that. That is where you are taking out some of the white. I'm just doing that. I'm just filling it back in black again. I use my brush as a guide. Middle, south, angle it. I can also paint that white back in if I decide I've not put it in the right place. That's good. Sweet. Now, let's also, while we had the black on here, let's open up a little bit of room underneath the where we put buildings. I'm going to paint another black box, painting out some of that building. I know you're like, why did we just put it there then? It's easier for your brain. Trust me. Layering is awesome for the coffee sign. So I'm just putting a little black rectangle. See it? It's about here and here to make one sign. And then I'm going to do same thing over here for Easy Street Records. And it's technically a kind of a soft diamond. It kind of looks like a diamond shape there, bleeding off the edge. This is abstract. Okay, we'll let those dry. And now I am going to go back to my blue, and I think I need to put a little bit more out because it is dried. Back to my phthalo. I love this color so much. And I'm going to throw a little bit of white on there. Where do I have some white? Here's some white. So there's some blue. And just put enough white in it just so that it's not super, super dark. But I want it kind of dark, right? These are going to be my windows, my window color right there. So all I'm going to do is put just like a streak of blue in all of my gorgeous windows up here. Just by doing this. Boom, boom. Windows. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be big swatches like that. They can be little streakies just like we've been doing. I'm going to put some in the bottom down here. It's getting a little light, so I'm going to darken that up a little bit. So pretty. I love this color so much. There we go. Oh, that got a little dark. Back to my lighter. There we go. Letting some of the black show in there. Pretty. Okay. That's good. I'm going to wash my brush again. Oh, you know what I'm going to do while I got this blue on here? I lost my swirl here, so I'm just gonna throw it in. You don't have to. I love that swirl. I wanted it back. And I am master of my own swirl. It happened. There. There's no law saying we can't go back, guys. Paint over areas we've already been. Okay, we are masters of our own junction, am I right? Okay, good. All right, so now I am going to get to the pink. So this is the crimson, red, and white is going to give you the pretty hot pink that you want. If you want your pink to be more of a salmon color, use your scarlet. There isn't a wrong one. I'm going to go crimson. Salmon is the only color named after a fish. Who doesn't love that? Me today, apparently, because I'm going crimson. Don't judge. All right, so again, I just need a little bit of the red, the crimson red, and a little bit more of the white. And I'm going to start my little pile with the wool. Oh no, that was so slippery. Excuse me. I'm back. I'm going to start with the white, take a little pile of whites and a tiny corner of red. Tiny, tiny, tiny to my white. And there is my pink. Gorgeous. Give me a little bit more. All right, now I've mixed it with my bigger brush. I'm going to paint with this, but I'm also going to pick up Courtney right now. And I'm going to use her to write the word Cupcake Royale. Sunny would do an amazing job as well. Here's the thing about Sunny. Sunny holds this much paint. You're going to have to reload after every letter. I find it annoying. He's pretty much here for the Sunny and Cher joke. I don't use the guy. But I'm not judging. You go ahead. I'm going to use Courtney. I'm just going to take a little bit of that pink right from her sister. Thank you for the pink. And I am going to I don't write the words, you can, but this is a pretty abstract painting. So I'm just going to give the impression of the word Cupcake Royale because post-impressionism is what we're going for here, right? So I'm going to start with the C outside of the sign. You want to go inside with it, do it. And then the U and the P and the, it's right about here that I realize I don't have enough room. So I just start faking it. Your brain will fill it in weirdly. If it makes you uncomfortable, if you're just like, I am sorry, I need to be able to read it, then do it. I don't worry about it. I'm going to make sure there's a nice C there, and I'm going to make sure that halfway across there's a nice R. Whoops, gunky brush to, and then there. You can see the C and the P went down here maybe, and then the rest, I just fake it. I just fake it. And then, there. Nailed it. I'm raising it up just a little bit, and I'm literally just drawing up above the letters I already have on there. You can see my old letters down here. I'll fill that in with black later if I want to. But that's what I'm doing. I'm dabbing back into the red, and I'm just throwing a little pure red right on the top just to give a little extra color. See a little bit of red on there? A little bit, just so it's not all too samey. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, I'm going to clean the pink off of this brush. And I am going into white with Courtney. And I'm going to draw a three-sided box underneath the word cupcake, wherever it fits. You can kind of see it there. 1, 2, 3, kind of. And then that is a cupcake. And here is the top of the cupcake with white frosting. Gorgeous. And you know what sits on top of that? A crown, because royal cupcake. So this is what I do. I draw the crown, which is basically the letter M, as if you got halfway through and forgot that you already made the middle thing, so you made a second one. So it's got a three-pointed crown. There it is. With my little Courtney, three-pointed crown. Here's the good cheat. So right now it's looking messy, but check this out. If I take little Courtney back into the black and draw and clean up the initial white circle that I made around, look at that. Cleaning up my crown. Yeah. Now you can see it. I can even outline it on this side if I want to. Yeah, that happened. And then back to Chloe and my original pink. And everything outside of the cupcake is going to be a lighter pink than the words, so that you can tell them apart. And I'm just putting little brush strokes of color in there again. There we go. Cute. Just like that. If you're thinking to yourself, man, I can't read this. This looks so, I just don't know what I'm doing. This is what you want to do. Take a picture of your painting with your phone. Take a photo of it. That will give you emotional distance. We're working at these paintings like at 9 inches, right? And maybe beating ourselves up for things that we are doing. Today you might be thinking, I think my painting would look pretty good 60 feet away from me. Tomorrow it'll be 50 feet, and the next day it'll be 40 feet. Taking a photo of it gives you that emotional distance today. Everybody says to me, the photo looks so much better than the actual painting. It's the same thing. So, clean my brushes, getting them out of the water. Let's do our first little swing of the bottom of the Verite coffee sign that goes underneath. This is just going to be, I'm going to take a little bit of the ochre that I have left here. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to mix a bunch of colors. I'm putting some yellow in there. I'm putting some white in there. I want it to be just a lighter. I don't want it to look like the building. So I'm going to put a bunch of yellow in there so that it doesn't look like the buildings. Other than that, maybe put a little bit of red in there. Tiny, tiny little bit. There, that's not going to look like a building. Maybe some of this red too. Whoa, that escalated quickly. Wipe it off, wipe it off. Okay, that's fine. This is good. I am just pulling colors from other places. That is okay. Let's see, need more white. Need more white. There we go. All right, we're going with that color. We're going to pretend that does not look like the rest. No, I think it's good. I'm going to leave a little bit of space, the black space, and I'm just going to make, there, that's way far away from the building colors. Making a little space. I'm in the black, I'm going to write the word verite, and in with black on top of this color, I'm going to write the word coffee. Spoiler alert. There. So I'm there. And I can use this brush, but I think I'm going back to Courtney again now that I have a comfort level with her. I'm going to take the same color that I had right on my brush here and write the word verite in my black stripe here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think it's kind of a skinny little word. It's okay if it bleeds off the side. Verite. And then, same brush, right into the black. Coffee. Again, I don't want it to look too perfect. You may want it to look perfect. Totally fine and great. Totally fine and great. I like it to look a little bit messy. Verite coffee. Okay. Now, I like to put little signs in all of the windows. Um, announcing sidewalk sales and specials going on and store hours, and they just look like this from far away, right? They're just little slashes of color. And by color, I mean white right now. There are some white ones, and I'm going to make some red ones. Get to the red. There we go. Put some red in the, oh, that's such a good color. Move it here. It might be an open sign. This is, I don't know what, but just nice little flashes of color of things that are in the store windows. Cute. You know what else I like to do with red? This is going to sound crazy. You do you. But it pops so well because right now our tree is kind of disappearing. But if you put just tiny little bits of red in there, check it out. Oh, gorgeous. I love this. Bring his arms back. Just little bits in there. Could that be prettier? The answer is no. Okay. Now, let's go back to, it doesn't have to be white, but I'm going to take a little bit, maybe it's off-white, maybe it's white, it's an older sign, inside the little Easy Street Records thing over here. I'm just going to not make it perfect again, but I just want to put some white inside there, inside of the black thing that we made. Maybe it's perfect, maybe it's not. Maybe there's a shade in a window over here. That just happened. Maybe there's one over here. And then, you know what else I'm going to do with white? With Courtney, I'm going to add just a little bit of definition to my cupcake letters. Just a little bit of shine on the edge of all of them. And look how they just pop right off there. Even though it doesn't really spell anything, does it? But that little bit of white on there, so pretty. Now it looks like it should say something. That popped off there nice. You can always go back and clean up little things. Pretty. All right. Now I am going to, with the red and little Courtney or Sunny would be fine. And I'm going to, again, break in Easy Street Records. It's just too tiny to write here. So I'm just going to put a little, I'm just making little dots at maybe each dot EASY, maybe TREET. And that's what I'm going to do for the sign. Is it outlined in red? I don't know. I'm feeling it today, though, so I'm just going to put a little bit of a red outline around it. I think that looks pretty. You can add more touches. You can add actual signs for your stores in if you want. This is the basic painting. Oh, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved painting it with you. Um, Please feel free to reach out if you have more questions about painting. I'm super happy to help you. To keep your brushes great so you can use them again and again, you have 3 canvases in your kit. So fill out your Etsy shop. You're going to want to put a little bit of dish soap in your hand, mush your brush around in it, mush it with your fingers, rinse it out. Your brushes will stay nice and fresh. And that's it. Happy painting. Have a wonderful rest of the summer. Bye-bye.